In 1948, something extraordinary happened in Britain's Gold Coast colony. A Ghanaian traditional leader decided that ordinary people could fight colonial economic power without weapons. In the late 1940s, the Gold Coast was still under British colonial rule. European trading companies played a major role in the economy, and many everyday products sold to Ghanaians were imported. But prices had become a serious source of frustration. For ordinary people, the issue was more than expensive goods. It was the growing feeling that the economic system itself was unfair. At the center of the growing anger was Nii Kwabena Bonne, also known as Boycott. He was a respected gay traditional leader in Accra, but instead of calling for violence, he proposed a different strategy. If European trading companies refused to reduce unfair prices, consumers would simply stop buying their goods. It was a remarkably simple idea. Use the power of the consumer to challenge economic power.
If European trading companies refuse to reduce unfair prices, consumers should simply stop buying their goods and start making, selling, and buying our own goods.
In January 1948, the boycott began. People were encouraged to stop buying selected imported goods from European-controlled businesses. The strategy was peaceful, but powerful. If consumers stopped spending their money, the businesses would feel the pressure. What had begun in Accra soon gained support elsewhere in the Gold Coast. For European merchants and colonial authorities, this was no longer simply a complaint about prices. It had become organized mass action.
Do not buy from them. We must stand together.
The real strength of the boycott came from ordinary people. Traders, workers, and families could participate simply by refusing to purchase the targeted goods. No army was required. No battlefield was needed. Every person who refused to buy became part of the protest. The movement demonstrated that colonial power depended not only on political authority, but also on the economic participation of the people it governed. The growing boycott placed increasing pressure on European trading interests. Negotiations followed between representatives of the merchants and the organizers of the boycott. Eventually, an agreement was reached, but the significance of the movement went beyond the immediate dispute over prices. Ghanaians had demonstrated that organized collective action could force powerful institutions to respond. But the boycott was only one part of a much larger crisis. African soldiers who had fought for Britain during the Second World War were demanding recognition and better treatment. On the 28th of February, 1948, ex-servicemen marched through Accra to present their grievances. Their peaceful march would soon become one of the most dramatic turning points in the history of the Gold Coast. The march became a major confrontation. Violence erupted in Accra and spread to other areas. The events became known as the 1948 Accra riots. The colonial government responded with arrests and investigations. The disturbances shocked the British authorities and revealed just how deep dissatisfaction with colonial rule had become. The events of 1948 became a turning point. The boycott, the grievances of the ex-servicemen, and the riots all contributed to a growing demand for political change. The people of the Gold Coast were becoming increasingly determined to control their own future. The struggle would continue through political organization, protests, and constitutional change until 9 years later, the Gold Coast became the independent nation of Ghana. Nii Kwabena Bonne did not lead an army against the British. He used something different: collective economic power. His boycott showed that ordinary people could unite behind a common cause and challenge an unequal system without taking up arms. His campaign became part of the wider chain of events that transformed political consciousness in the Gold Coast. When we remember Ghana's independence story, we should remember not only the famous politicians, but also the traditional leaders and ordinary citizens who helped push the country toward freedom.